So joining me now from her home outside of Prince Albert, Saskatchewan, is Kelly Lamb, although you might know her as Kelly Day. And today we're going to be talking about the Saskatchewan election, Saskatchewan COVID lockdowns. Are they going to have a second lockdown? And what do the current restrictions look like? And how ridiculous are they really? Because I think she's experienced it and I've seen, or at least spoken to people who've experienced it firsthand. And the American election, the impact that's going to have on Saskatchewan. And I guess what songs we're going to sing on our prison album when we get sent to a gulag because we kind of didn't hate Donald Trump as much as the Democrats in the United States would like us to. Hey, Kelly, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me. Always a joy to be here, Sheila.
Yeah, it's been too long.
Agreed.
I think since the last time I talked to you, you got married. So congratulations on that. And
Thank
you
you.
relocated a little bit.
A little bit.
To an undisclosed location. I guess the first thing I want to talk to you about is the Saskatchewan election. Overwhelming majority for Scott Moe's Saskatchewan party. I don't think that was a surprise to anybody.
No.
He's very popular. He was, the sort of the conservative torchbearer while Alberta waited to get rid of NDP here.
Yeah.
But I think the most surprising thing for me was how well the Buffalo Separatist Party did in at least 4 ridings. I think they probably would have done a lot better because I think there is a strong separatist sentiment in Saskatchewan, much like there is here in Alberta. But I think a lot of people were concerned about splitting the vote and the NDP running up the middle. What do you think?
Absolutely. There's a healthy fear of the NDP getting any power in parts of the province. There are pockets where they've always maintained some seats. So, there's pockets of support, particularly in more urban areas, but rurally there's always just been, we want to make sure we stay conservative. There is people like Moe, absolutely, but they also, even if it wasn't him, the party likely still would have won with a large majority as it did. It's the standard kind of safe conservative party here. We do have other options. There was the Buffalo Party this year. There's the other conservative party that's a bit smaller. They did okay in certain ridings as well, considering how independent and small they are. But yeah, the Sask party is our kind of go-to conservative party. And so we certainly expected them to do well no matter what. But when it comes to the Buffalo Party, what I found interesting was they did do a lot better than I think most of us expected.
Yeah.
I think they probably did better than they even expected, not because the sentiment for separatism isn't high. It is high. But like you said, there's a fear of splitting the vote. There's this, we have to make a safe choice, much like in Canada, they just wanted to get Trudeau out. And so you don't want to split the vote. You just want to vote the CPC, get her done, get Trudeau out was the idea. Same with Saskatchewan. So I understand why people were hesitant to go with a smaller, more independent party. I wasn't afraid to throw my vote behind the Buffalo Party myself. They didn't do very well in my riding, but they did really well in my hometown riding of Estevan and Weyburn regions. So wherever oil and gas is a strong financial driver, they did get some really decent support. So I was really surprised and happy to see my hometown just openly being courageous enough to say, you know what, enough's enough. We want to change. We don't know what to do under this anymore. Why not? Why not try something new? So,
yeah, I think that was really the surprise in all of it. And I'm not saying that I'm surprised because a separatist party is gaining momentum. I think, of course, the parade is marching. Somebody needs to jump in front of it. But the fact that they were, probably about 90 days old as a party in the lead up to the election, no money, just fielding candidates in 17 ridings.
Yeah.
I think they finished second place in Cypress Hills, Kindersley, Estevan, and Cannington. And they did really well in a couple of those, like upwards of 20%, which is, if they had more political infrastructure, more fundraising, more candidates, I think we would have seen, I think it would not be outrageous to see a Buffalo Party official opposition next time around.
I would agree with that. And now that some people have come out and shown, you know what, I'm going to put my support behind this, that in itself will grow the support. People know about them now. Like you said, they were brand new. A lot of people that are normies, so to speak, that
Yeah.
just don't follow along or don't care about politics, which I find so hard to believe, especially at a more local level. You'd think
Yeah.
I can understand saying, well, if it goes on in Ottawa, you feel distant from it. But for me, it's hard to understand that people don't pay attention to municipal and provincial politics. But there are so many that don't. And so, yeah, I think it's interesting now it'll be interesting to see where people go with their votes in the future, just now that they're getting more well known, and to see what's going on nationally, because the more that goes on nationally, there's legislation being pushed constantly that's pushing people into, what was once reluctant separatists like myself are just
Yeah.
saying, okay, I got nothing left. So what else do? We understand the viability issues. There's a lot to discuss. I don't even know if it's viable in my lifetime, but we have to work towards something useful. And I just don't, a lot of people in Saskatchewan and Alberta, they just don't feel like they're even a part of all of this anymore. It's such a disconnect. And it hurts to give up that sense of patriotism. But what's happening for me, and I'm sure lots of others, is my love for Saskatchewan and my loyalty is
Yeah.
growing. And my love for Canada is sadly diminishing. And it's not something I wanted to happen, but it is happening nonetheless. So,
Yeah, it's like people who don't want a divorce, but they know it's sort of the best thing for everybody involved.
yeah.
Um, it's it's strange because, the liberals seem to be doubling down on policies that drive
Mhm.
separatism,
Mhm.
and those issues that are just so indicative of the cultural divide between Western Canada and Eastern Canada, or Central Canada, Laurentian Canada.
Yeah.
For example, they're still hammering on issues of gun control. They're introducing more carbon taxes, two
Mhm.
new carbon taxes. There's the Clean Fuel Standard, and they're going to, um, they announced last week that they're going to try to meet their Paris targets, and they are not ruling out more carbon taxes or raising the carbon tax beyond the $50 per ton that they had announced. So, I mean, it's it's hard to keep people in the game of Canada
Exactly.
when you are making them feel like they have nothing left to lose. And I think that's where a lot of people are. They
Yes.
are they are they're realizing more and more every day that they're disconnected. And if I were like an Alex Jonesy conspiracy theorist, you would think that Justin Trudeau is a plant for the separatist movement in Western
Yeah.
Canada, because if I wanted to push a bunch of people who are culturally alienated out of the country, I wouldn't do anything different than what he's doing.
He's doing a great job. Really
Yeah.
well done. Spectacular work. Alienating an entire form of your population. And it's really unfortunate. I get it. We have smaller numbers. People argue, well, that's just how democracy works. And we could get into how the states works and how there's protections for that I wish we had here and all of that, but we won't today. Unfortunately, though, it's a terrible feeling to know that not only do you not have the numbers to represent anything in the House of Commons, you also just will never get then that advantage of having any policy created for your population in mind. So for Saskatchewan, we overwhelmingly vote Conservative, both provincially and nationally, over and over again, and completely just get basically ignored. There's no policies that are aimed towards us. It's aimed towards, and it's not just East and West. And I try to be careful because I have so many
Yeah.
great friends out in the East that are so supportive of Alberta and Saskatchewan and
Sure.
of our
Yeah.
oil and gas industry. But it's just like you said, it's this elitism, often a very urban rural divide. I feel like
Yeah.
that's huge, and that's the same in the States as well. So it's tough when you know that you could be doing so much better as a province, or all you really want is just some more autonomy. I don't want to change what's happening in Toronto. I don't really care. You guys do you. I just wish we had more autonomy. And that's really what the separatist part is about. Okay, great. If we can stay, we'll stay, but we can't stay like this, not with this little power. And premiers need to really be standing up too. It's really disappointing when you see conservative type of premiers just folding. And I'm really hoping Mo stays strong. We'll see what happens. I mean, at least we're fighting things like the carbon tax and firearms issues and stuff like that. So we're on the ball anyway.
If you'd like to get access to my show, as well as other great TV style shows too, like Ezra's Nightly, Ezra Levant Show, and David Menzies' Friday night show, Rebel Roundup, just go to rebelnews.com/subscribe. That's rebelnews.com/subscribe.